Hey, Kristen here. So I wanted to talk about how I use the show Songland in class. This is the first year I've done this. It's a brand new show. And so let me tell you a little bit about it. Songland is a new show on NBC. And what they do is they have three famous producers, people who've won Grammys, people like Ryan Tedder, that's one of the producers. And then they'll have a famous musical artist, somebody like the Jonas Brothers, Kelsey Ballerini, Macklemore. They have them across all genres and varieties. And so these producers and the artists will be sitting there, and songwriters will come and present their best work to these producers and the artist. And after they present the song that they wrote, there's kind of a period of exchange where there's some feedback about here's what we like, here's what we didn't, here's how you could fix this. And it turns into a little bit of a jam session right there on stage. The artist will pick, out of the 4 songs they hear, they'll pick 3 that they will then rework, or I guess the songwriter will rework. And then finally, the artist will choose one song that they're going to make into a single. And it's released that night on NBC, or I guess after the show airs on NBC, the song is released that night on Spotify and iTunes and things like that. It's a really, really great show. And I enjoyed watching it, but as I was watching it this summer, I started getting these ideas. Like, this is what is missing from our student work. And let me explain that. I was sitting at a conference, a deeper learning conference last year, and I was listening to Ron Berger give a keynote. And if you've never heard of him or heard him speak, you should look him up, at least on YouTube. He's phenomenal. But he said something that really stuck with me. He said, education looked a lot different. People were apprentices to a master, like they learned a trade. And so as an apprentice, you're constantly trying to produce the same thing over and over. There's a lot of repetition, and you're getting better and better and better and better and better until you become the master craftsman yourself. And we've kind of gotten rid of that. Actually, we've totally gotten rid of that. That's not how our students learn anymore. That's not how the schools work. And that's fine, because what we've produced are more well-rounded students, students who can do things in all different areas. They're not limited to one craft. But here's the problem. Our students have lost this idea of craftsmanship in the process, of excellence. And as he's talking about this, I was doing what every teacher does at conferences. I was grading projects at the same time because I was behind and needing to multitask. And I'm staring at these projects I'm grading, and they were absolutely horrible. And here's the thing, the project itself, the assignment was phenomenal. It was super creative, and I was so excited. But what had been turned into me was, for lack of a better word, a bunch of crap. I mean, the kids had rushed through it. They were essentially just checking off boxes. So they rushed through it. They give me kind of shoddy work. And then I'm grading it, and I'm supposed to not fail everybody, because that's the politics of school today, is that you're not supposed to fail everyone. And so then there's grade inflation. They weren't happy with the project. They didn't enjoy it. They got no satisfaction out of it. And I was stuck grading stuff that I wasn't happy with. It was a lose-lose situation for both of us. And I was thinking, what if we start returning excellence and craftsmanship to the classroom? What if we start teaching that to our students? So I've completely changed my tune, and I've started assigning things not with the idea of instant perfection in mind, but with the idea of craftsmanship, of excellence, of this idea of students should repeat the skill, gaining feedback, repeat, gain feedback, repeat, until they have mastered the skill itself. So here's how I use Songland. You can go on NBC.com, and you can find either like full episodes or clips. I got the Kelsey Ballerini episode. It's one of my favorites. I figured she's super relevant with my students. Most of them have heard of her. She sings country music. We live in Texas, so that worked pretty well. It was also appropriate for a school audience. I will say most of the episodes have been appropriate even for me to show my 8-year-old. Some of them, like Jonas Brothers, there was a few off-colored jokes that so you just have to preview that. But I just did a short clip of one person playing their song for Kelsey, and then that moment where the artist and the producers give feedback. And the way the feedback works is they always start with, here's what I love. I love the way you did this, but perhaps you should try something else. Like perhaps we should take this one part and tweak it. And they give specific suggestions. So I play this for my class, and we talk about, first of all, that this is not a song that songwriter wrote at 11 p.m. the night before. This is their best work. They have already spent time refining it before they bring it up to these people. And then the feedback is always positive first, but then on the cool feedback, the negative feedback, they're always giving specifics of, here's the specific thing that you could try that could make this better, and here's what that looks like. And so I open up class with this, where we're talking about why this is effective feedback. It was 3 to 4 minutes, that clip, which was great. I plan on showing them more and more in class just so they get an idea. And then I had my students engage in critique of each other's work. Now, I teach history, so I have them write argumentative paragraphs, just one paragraph, not a full essay. This is my on-level class, so just one paragraph, and they're supposed to have a good thesis. They're supposed to have argument in there. They're supposed to use specific evidence. They're supposed to have analysis, a solid conclusion. And so they bring in their one paragraph, and I have them lay them on their desk, and then I give them a feedback sheet. So here, I'll show you. This is the paragraph that somebody wrote, and I have them write rough draft on top. And then I also have them put this feedback sheet next to it. And it basically has 2 columns. One column is positive feedback, like here's what we like that you did, and another column is some of the negative or cool feedback. And at the top are sentence starters. So for some of the positive feedback, it says, I was really struck by how you did blank, or blank stands out because of blank, or I like how you used this to accomplish this. And so they don't have to use those, but that gives them kind of a start or things to think about. So for this particular girls, people said, you had great evidence. I really like the evidence you did. But then on the cool feedback, it says, well, can you explain why you chose to do this? Or I'd like to see more of this. My favorite is, perhaps you could try this other thing. And so one person said on here, you mentioned the spread of diseases. We're talking about colonization. And they said, we really think that you should add more evidence and analysis of the spread of diseases and why it's important. Another person said, you've got a lot of commas and grammatical errors, and you don't have citations. You need to make sure you put those in. So these are very basic. And then after they do that, I have the students revise their paragraph to turn in something new. And this girl's now all of a sudden has evidence. It has citations, has more analysis to it. And I'm going to do this about every 6 weeks. My goal is, when I grade them, my rubric is kind of long. I grade them on a lot of things because there's a lot of things you can get out of a paragraph. So their thesis, their evidence, analysis, conclusion, argument, accuracy, like is it actually the right information, overall organizational structure, the writing itself. Are you giving me your best work, or are you texting me? Because I'm shocked at how many students today will not capitalize things or put punctuation in. And I'm like, nope, we got to get you got to up the ante. But then the last category is growth and improvement. Like, did you try to significantly change from the first draft to the second draft? Are you pursuing excellence? When I grade them, I have them staple their rough draft, their peer feedback, and their final draft together. I grade that whole little bundle, looking for that growth. And when I grade it, I actually grade it pretty hard. Very few A's. And here's why. I give them the option. They don't have to. They can take the grade as it is. But I say, if you want to revise now based on my feedback, you have the option to do so. So there is an option of them writing an additional draft, a third draft to turn into me. And at that point, what I see is a huge increase in the quality of the work that's presented. This year started off a little rough. Like, a lot of the comments are, hey, I like the way you look really cute, or, good effort, that sort of thing. I'm actually going to start grading the feedback to make sure that they are taking that part seriously. But I started doing this last year. This was before Songland ever came out. I think Songland is great to use. But what I noticed from my students is the quality of the first draft started getting better, because all of a sudden they knew, we're not going to just turn in bad stuff to her. We're not going to waste our time. That professional writing requires more than that. And so then they started seeking out feedback on their own. They started coming to me during breaks, during lunch, before school, after school, saying, hey, can you give me some feedback on this so that I can make it better? And I'm so excited now for these students. I have juniors and a couple of seniors. I'm so excited for them to go off to college, because what they've learned is that you don't just whip something out and hand it in. What they've learned is excellence. They've learned that because of the critique that I'm giving them, they've learned what professional writing looks like. And, you know, I used to put critique and like my own feedback on their drafts of stuff as I was grading it. And it occurred to me, I was a kid once. Did you ever do anything with that? No, you looked at it and you threw it in the trash. But this is requiring them to actually grapple with what I'm saying, to get clarification if they don't understand, and to really apply it in their writing. So wanted to share that, my new teaching hack. I'll put a link on this YouTube video for Songland. You should totally check it out. Like I said, every time we do this, which is going to be every 6 to 8 weeks in class, I'm going to show them another clip, partly just because it's fun, and also just to get them understanding what the pursuit of excellence really does look like. So I hope you enjoyed that.